Thank you. Let's bring political commentator and Venezuelan political refugee Franklin Camargo, Israeli Special Ops veteran Aaron Cohen, and editor-in-chief of the Foreign Desk, Lisa Daftari. Thank you all for coming on. Franklin, you first. I mean, you know this area better than anybody. The Hill writes the following here. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. government's decision to designate Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles a foreign terrorist organization provides the Defense Department with new options to go after the alleged drug cartel, which officials alleged is headed by Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. What are you hearing about Venezuela? What's going on there?
Venezuelans support Donald Trump tremendously when it comes to these actions. And let me tell you, it feels so good to have a person who recognizes the nature of the Venezuelan regime. It's a narco state. And when we talk about the U.S. and what the U.S. should do, the United States of America and its government should protect its citizens, should protect its borders. So when you have a regime that is less than 3,000 miles away from Florida, that is sending drugs here, that is sending criminals, let's remember, Trendoragua, you need to do something. You need to fight back. So, of course, I fully support what Trump is doing. Venezuelans support it. But I support it because I'm America first. Yep. And I think it's in the best U.S. interest to fight back.
You saw Lucas Tomlinson's piece there, Aaron. You see, you know, the rehearsals, as he was saying. You got 12,000 sailors and Marines on these ships over there, a lot of special ops forces. You've got a lot of artillery there. What's going on? What do you think is happening?
So what you saw right there with the Marines, that's signaling, Trace. That's Trump saying, here's the second wave. If you guys don't back off, now you're going to meet 12,000 Marines who are masters of over the beach, which is what that called. But what's happening right now is you've got special operations units in the Caribbean doing what they do best, which is gather intelligence, provide operational logistical support, and map networks. And the CIA and Socom are the ones who are down there doing that. And they're feeding that real intel to U.S. commanders to basically shape targeting packages. We've seen 21 of them in the last couple of weeks now, and it's giving U.S. military commanders proper intel packages to be able to continue providing those precision strikes. Plus, you've got actual logistics packages that are allowing the U.S. to hunt down proxies like Iran and Hezbollah, who've been in South America for years, Venezuelan dissidents who are now working for the cartels, which he can tell you about. And so the U.S. is getting in front of it, and it's a couple of 100 miles from Miami, Trace.
Yeah, and you talk about this. It's kind of crazy, Lisa. If you had said this 2 months ago, we thought, what buildup in the Caribbean? What do you mean? And the possibility of airstrikes in Venezuelan ports. What do you think of all this?
Yeah, if you want to tackle fentanyl in Ohio, you got to go to Caracas and meet them there so that it doesn't get onto our soil. And that is the message that the Trump administration is sending. And look, it's not just drug trafficking. We have to remember it's also human trafficking. It's also Hezbollah, who is using this drug trafficking as a cash cow to send money to its Middle East operations. Lebanon, its Hezbollah chapter there has been diminished by Israel, but it has not been decimated. They're waiting on Venezuela to send over the money. We know that Iran is working its proxies in that region. So there's so much there. And it's targeted, it's pinpointed. And the fact that the Trump administration is establishing deterrence in order to fight the war there and not on our soil, I think it sends a very, very clear message.
I'm going to move the map now, if I can, now to Ukraine, because there's been a lot of backroom negotiating going on here. The U.S. still working this 28-point plan with Russia. Here is the State Department's comment on kind of what's happening. Watch.
Ending a war as complex, as deadly, as serious as the one in Ukraine requires the extensive exchange of serious ideas, and achieving a durable peace will mean that there will be difficult but necessary concessions from both sides. So we will continue to develop a list of potential ideas to bring this conflict to an end.
Seems like those necessary concessions are more on one side, Franklin, than the other.
Yes, but it's just a very pragmatic, realistic plan. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Every decent individual would like for Ukraine to recover every inch of its territory from Russia. Is that possible? No. So what we should do, we need to stop the suffering, we need to save Ukrainian lives, and of course, we need to save also Ukraine's sovereignty. And maybe the best way to do it is to reach a realistic deal, which I think you have something here.
Yeah. Meantime, Zelensky would have to give up a fair bit of territory, Aaron. He posted on X today saying, quote, today during a meeting with the U.S. Secretary of the Army, Daniel Driscoll, we discussed options for achieving real peace, the sequencing of our work and formats for dialogue, as well as new impulses for diplomacy. Our teams of Ukraine and the United States will work on the provisions of the plan to end the war. We are ready for constructive, honest, and swift work. His tone and tenor and his language is changing here. It's not as much defiant. It's like, let's figure out how to work this thing out.
Yeah, Trace, I think both sides are tired. I think they're exhausted. And I think Witkoff and Driscoll and the U.S. team is putting together what I'm calling a controlled landing into this thing. And it's not going to be perfect. However, it's giving it a structure, and it's finally bringing this thing to where it needs to be, which is we're going to take what we can get. Yeah. Trump's got a phone call with Zelensky in a couple of days, and I think he's kind of set the baseline for this thing coming to a landing here.
Joni Ernst talking about meeting with MBS and Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords. Watch.
It was a very optimistic discussion. Of course, there are a number of points yet to be decided, but it is good to know that we are on that pathway for additional peace and stability in the Middle East. And we know the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is key to that.
Peace and stability, Lisa. I've got about 30 seconds, but we've pretty much covered the globe.
Absolutely. And I think the Abraham Accords were meant to do two things for the countries that are signatory. One is to show the Iran regime that we're moving away from their hegemonic agenda and we're going to look westward. We're going to be making peace with Israel. And number two, that it's going to be about peace and prosperity, looking forward, a new chapter for the Middle East. And I think the Saudis should be signatory to that. They should move away from, we cannot move beyond the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, and they should move towards, we want peace, we want prosperity, and we will move towards Israel and the West.
Yeah, it does seem to be kind of ticking in that direction.
Absolutely, and I think that that's the way it's going to be. Look, I think informally the Saudis are part of the Abraham Accords. They are doing private and public deals with Israel, and now they're at the White House saying the same thing. So I think, in front of the cameras, they have to defend the Palestinians on a two-state solution. But I think behind the scenes, they know that that is not what will happen anytime soon.
Lisa, Aaron, Franklin.
You ever wonder why I built this show? Because after October 7th, I watched the media lie. I watched people justify terror. And I watched the world turn its back on the truth. So I picked up this mic and I turned it into a weapon and this studio into my battle room. This isn't just a podcast. It's a counterterrorism mission. But I'm not backed by a network. There's no corporate sponsors. There's no PR team. This show runs on you. And if the truth matters to you, and if you've ever said, finally, someone's standing up and said it, then help me keep it going. You can donate directly, or you can pick up my deep concealment holster, same one I trained Keanu Reeves on for John Wick, runs below the waistband, never gonna fall off you in lightning fast draw with just a little bit of training. Or you can grab a 3-pack of the Aaron Cohen famous Merkava coffee, strong enough to fuel counterterrorism. Or you can grab a signed copy of my best-selling memoir, Brotherhood of Warriors, The Story Behind the Fight. My memoir is the first American to serve in Israel's top special operations counterterror unit. Every dollar pushes the mission forward. Click the link below to support the show, because never again means now.